everybody, and welcome to the Movie Reel, the best place for movies and entertainment. On this episode, we're going to be talking about Austin Powers. We're going to be bringing three of these, so we're going to do these kind of in order. So get ready over the next couple of movie reels. We're going to talk about all three of these movies. They mean a lot. I grew up with these movies. I love them. They're fantastic, and we haven't done comedy. Actually, now thinking back on it, when we decided on these movies, we haven't done any comedy on the movie reel. So it's time we get in some, what do I want to say? Like on purpose type laughs. You know what I mean? So we've made fun of a lot of other movies, but they weren't meant to be funny. And to help me do that on this episode is my lovely wife, Heather.
Hello.
She is back. We grew up together, dating together, seeing these movies. So
yep.
Thanks for coming on and doing the show with me, babe. Good times.
Always.
Before we get into all the show, we're going to real quick shout out to the loud crowd. Thanks to everybody out there for following and supporting the show. We really appreciate it. YouTube is still continuing to grow slowly but surely. So we love that. We love the community. We're having a great time with it. If you want to listen to anything else and you're just catching the movie reel on just kind of a off the cuff, we do have a Loud Thumbs gaming podcast. You can go over there and check out. We do that every Monday, and then every other week besides the movie reel, we'll do video game reviews. And then on Friday, we have a YouTube exclusive where we actually put out a power-up bar episode. We'll do a video game themed drink, and we got to guess what game goes with the drink. So it's a good time. But yes, we want to hear from the loud crowd, and the easiest way to do that from all of you is loudthumbs.com. Go over there, hit it up. It's super easy. Big email button right there at the beginning, and all of our socials are there. Also, if you have the means and you would like to support the show, we have an option for that at patreon.com/loudthumbs. We have multiple different tiers, exclusive content over there as well. If you don't have anything to toss our way, no big deal. Just go ahead and shoot us an Apple review, hit us with a 5-star, and give us a paragraph or a sentence or two. We'd love to read it on the show. And then Spotify, you can also hit a 5-star review over there. We would love that. So that is it for that. On to Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. So quick synopsis I put together here real quick. Like Britain's top super sexy spy, Austin Powers, is frozen in 1967, waiting for his nemesis to return, Dr. Evil, from his cryogenic sleep in 1997. So this is a time traveling movie in a way. They are frozen, and 30 years later they show up. And it just becomes hilarious. So Heather, tell me how you feel about Austin Powers, what it means to you, and what you think about the movie as well.
Austin Powers is hilarious. There's just so many funny innuendos and puns, which is right up my alley. Like, that's my favorite type of comedy. Not just the first movie, but all of these movies. I mean, they do mean a lot. Like, we grew up watching them together when we were dating. The first movie came out 2 years before we met, but you were the person who introduced me to Austin Powers.
Yeah.
So we have a special connection with those movies. And yeah, they're hilarious. It's fun just to pop one in if you just need to have a funny movie to watch to relieve the stress of the day and you just want to laugh. Like, this movie is guaranteed to make you laugh.
Absolutely. If you need a break and you just want to forget about the world, this is a great movie to watch because it will it will allow that to happen. The box office for this movie goes to show how popular Austin was, and hopefully we get more of him in the future. And we'll talk about that in a later episode. We'll see what happens. But $112.5 million was the box office budget, and the box office take in $676 million. So dang, it made 6 times its budget.
I didn't realize it made that much money.
Yeah, well, I do remember it being huge. So go ahead. What were you saying?
Think about the difference in the money now. Like, 600 million back then to now, it would be
that's like $1 billion now. You know?
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. This movie was enormous, and it spawned, a trilogy. I mean, it spawned two sequels. But it goes to show. I remember, when it came out, it was one of those movies where nobody really knew much about it. I remember the trailers to this day. I remember the pun with, This is me in a nutshell. Oh, it's me in a nutshell. Oh, what am I doing in a nutshell? Like I remember from the trailer every single time, and it made no sense in the trailer at all. You're just like, what is this weird guy? And it made you want to see the movie. They don't do movies like this anymore, which is super sad. So I want to do more of these on the movie reel because I think more people need to give them some love and watch them. And if they, run across our show here and they go watch it, we're just helping. That's for the greater good, that's all. Yeah. But yes, I absolutely couldn't believe the difference in if 6 times the amount of money is. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a
and
whole
I think
lot.
It helped too. Mike Myers was a huge SNL star then, and people knew him from that, and they were like, "What is this guy doing? What is this movie?" And the trailers, it didn't really tell you what the movie was about, so people were really curious to see, like, what the heck is this?
Yeah, these are the trailers from like the days of where it's like a man, a mystery, an international man of mystery. Those were the trailers from the day. Like their trailers now don't have voiceovers. They just have text shot up on them, and then you just see what's happening in the movie, and you go online and you theorize with everybody about what it was. And this was a huge moment in Mike Myers' career, 100%. I mean, he went from doing like Wayne's World and, So I Married an Axe Murderer, comedy movies that were good. And Wayne's World was a big one that really kind of put his name on the map. But this movie put his name on the world. Like, I mean, everybody knew who Mike Myers was after this movie came out. And I'm glad of that because I really do like Mike Myers. He's one of my favorite, comedic actors. And he stands right up there, next to, Jim Carrey, Eddie Murphy, those guys. So I am looking forward to talking about this. So obviously we gave you the synopsis. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
You're okay. But like, we even used to have the Austin Powers action figures.
Yeah, we still have one. We have the one from Goldmember. Okay. It's on the shelf. I don't know or remember what happened to all the other ones, but we still have that one with the big pimp cane, which we're going to talk about.
That's the one I was thinking about.
Yeah, we still have it. It's on the shelf somewhere out there amongst all of our collectibles. So
yeah.
But yes, this movie, like we went over the synopsis already, but it takes place and it's kind of a quasi musical type of movie. That's something that kind of took me by surprise, and they do lean into that in future movies, and we'll talk about. But it starts off with a music number. It's the do 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 do, and he's jumping, and the screen's pausing, and he's showing his name comes up on the screen and everything, and it's just this really hippie type movie that starts out, and then he gets frozen and then sent into the future, 30 years later. And Mike Myers plays Dr. Evil, and he plays Austin Powers. And I'll be honest, the first time I watched this movie in theaters, I couldn't tell that he was Dr. Evil. I had no idea. And I'm curious, do you remember whether or not you could tell, or if you already knew maybe?
I think I probably already knew, because at the point in time where I watched the movie for the first time was with you. And it had been out for a couple years. So
that's true.
I already knew at that point in time that he did both characters. I would be curious to ask, we should have asked the kids, because they watched it with us, if they realized.
Yeah, we didn't ask them, did we?
We didn't ask. Yeah. I think Cullen did, but Ellie, I don't know if she did.
Right. Well, I can admit I didn't know. And I was like a 17-year-old, teenager, whatever, but yeah, I remember because this was like one of the first few movies I got to go. I drove myself to the theater with some buddies, and we all watched it together. And then it was just a huge moment for us. We're like quoting it forever then after that. And, the acting in the movie is not like super or anything like that, but I will have to say it's better for a movie like this, that they could have gone super Naked Gun, tongue in cheek, all that kind of stuff, but they did a pretty good job. I mean, it's a fun movie. It's acted out pretty well. The comedy in it is fantastic. All the innuendos, like you mentioned, he's always asking, do I make you horny? And, all those kinds of things. I mean, our kids have no idea what that means, but they just think he's silly. So they're laughing at him because he's silly, trying to get, it's Kensington. What was what's her first name again? I totally forget it. Vanessa. So yeah, when he's in the jumbo jet, that scene on the bed in the jumbo jet, oh, I fell over. Oh, I fell over again. You know, like it's just,
Yeah.
he's a very lovable character, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like he's just quirky and lovable, and he is in a time that's not his original time. So that just makes it, he's very naive in that sense.
Yeah, yeah, he absolutely is. Naive's a really good word because that's what happens to him when he ends up coming to 1997 when he gets unthawed, which is probably one of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite scene in the whole movie, is the unthawing process at the beginning.
Yes.
Which
it has
we might
to
as well.
be. How could it not be?
Yeah, I say we might as well talk about it because I mean it had everybody on the couch rolling, and he gets unthawed and he's in like the celebrity wing of the cryogenic chamber, you know, and there's like
Yeah.
Gary Coleman and Vanilla Ice in there with him,
Yeah.
and then he gets unthawed and he gets a shower and then they're on a conveyor belt. He's just on that conveyor belt being slid down, gets a shower,
Yeah.
gets dried off. Then they have to evacuate the system now, so he has to use the bathroom, and they help him turn around to the bathroom because he doesn't know where he's going.
Yeah.
And it's just this open wall with a toilet on it, and there's a shield in front. You can't see what he's doing. You can just see his shoulders up and his feet.
Yeah.
That's it,
Yeah.
right? It's just like a bathroom stall, but kind of shorter at the top. And yeah, he just keeps just leaking the whole time, just pee. And then the system stops. It's like evacuation and then he starts peeing again, and that happens like 3 or 4 times. And he at one point he's leaning against the wall, right, and he's like holding himself up because he's been standing there so long. That scene is fantastic. And there's like 3 guys just watching him. There's like the Russian guy, the American guy, and then the British guy, Basil Expedition, right?
Yeah.
That scene is probably one of my favorites. Maybe has to be my favorite part of the movie, I'd say. And it's right at the beginning, which is really good. And that doesn't mean that the movie gets less funny either.
Oh, no.
It stays right up there, like just funny stuff after funny stuff. So I'm curious from your standpoint and thinking about the movie and stuff, with him being naive, like that's a good word for it, I think. What do you think about, like, would people think he's just kind of like a tramp and like, just kind of a man whore and all that kind of stuff? Like nowadays, probably.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
100%. It wouldn't be taken as funny as it should be. Like, it's just tongue-in-cheek humor. It's just, being goofy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. They would be like, oh, he's just out to get women. It's like, no, he wants to, but that's not the only thing. Like, he's about stopping Dr. Evil. So
that's right. He's stopping Dr. Evil while learning what has changed in 30 years, right?
Yep. And finding a woman. I mean, what else is important in life?
Right. Yeah, exactly. He knows what's looking for.
That's right.
And it is a little bit of a difference in the movie when he goes from the 60s to the 90s, because his partner in the 60s has had a daughter, and that is his partner in the 90s. So there is a connection there as well. And he confuses her at first just because he hears her name. He thinks it's the same woman, and no, it's her daughter. She's now part of the British intelligence and stuff. So they do a really good job casting. Obviously Mike Myers is good. I think Vanessa, which was I'm spacing her, Elizabeth Hurley, she was really good. Michael York was great. Seth Green playing I mean, that character stood out a lot.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We got to talk some Dr. Evil. That is for sure. He gets unthawed and shows up, and he's at his like bench of people, and he just starts killing them like one at a time, right?
Yeah.
And he keeps Frau, and he keeps it's Frau
Number
Farbissina.
2.
He keeps number 2 because that's his money man.
And Mustafa.
Yeah, it was Mustafa, right? And then they tell him, hey, you told us to freeze your sperm, and then if you weren't back, we were supposed to make you an offspring, so that your name could live on. And they're like, after a year or 2, we got a little impatient, so you have a son. And then she's like, Scott, and she like yells his name. He comes, scares the shit out of Dr. Evil too, which was hilarious.
Yeah, he's like, what the?
Yeah. And then he shows up and he thinks he's gonna have this like awesome experience with his dad, and he's just kind of like underwhelmed with his son, right? Because he's just like this punk kid, looks like a skater, doesn't really listen, just kind of has what he wants, gets what he wants, that kind of stuff, right?
Typical like portrayal of a 90s teenager.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's got the baggy pants hanging down to his, bottom of his ass, and all that kind of stuff.
Baggy shirt.
Yeah.
And,
and then they have their back and forth multiple times, which they continue throughout the trilogy as well, and they just keep it funnier and funnier. Tell me your kind of thoughts as far as like Dr. Evil and Scott, and kind of Dr. Evil overall. We got to talk about him.
Dr. Evil's just stupid. Like he wants to take over the world, but he wants to do it in the dumbest ways possible. And there is the time difference, because when he comes back and he says, we're going to hold the world ransom for $1 million. And then they're like, well, this company of ours just made $90 million. And so then he's like, oh, and he just doesn't get it, like how much things have changed. And so everything that he comes up with, like he talks about, a laser beam, and it's already been invented, and he's just stupid, but it's in the funniest way possible.
Yeah, he is not a good bad guy, right? I
mean,
he just happened to fall upon evil things that worked for him, I guess.
Yes. At one point it made sense to him and it worked, but then it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's kind of his naivety from Austin's side. It's kind of like the opposite side of the coin. Like he shows up and he has no idea what's happened over 30 years, but he's still going to be the same guy from 30 years ago, just the same as Austin. Right. And the difference is Dr. Evil doesn't really even learn. Like there is a scene in the movie where Austin sits down and like binges 30 years worth of stuff in one night, from between the internet and movies. He's just kind of watched everything. But yeah, with Dr. Evil, the scene you're talking about where he sits down and he's coming up with all of his plans. He's like, there was the one where he's going to like shoot a hole through the ozone layer to cause skin cancer. That's already happened. And then there's the other one where they're going to like make like a big stink up about the Princess Di and everybody, and they're gonna like end up
Prince Charles had an affair, and that now they have to get a divorce. They're gonna leak information, and they're like, that already happened.
And then he just looks over at number 2 at one point and he just goes shit, like he just ran out of all ideas now.
Yep.
And then to jump to more Dr. Evil stuff, when he's talking with Austin after he shows up later in his like evil lair, and Scott is telling him like, why don't you just kill him, man? Like just shoot him right now. Like Scott is the evil one. Like he knows like I could take care of this guy right now. We could do it together. It could be fun, and he's like, no, Scott, no, like we have to do it a certain way, whatever. And then he like sends him down some elevator or something. He's like, you're not even gonna watch to make sure everything goes okay. He's like, no, I'm just gonna hope blindly that everything goes to plan. We're good. We're okay. Like
Scott's like the voice of reason. Like,
yes,
just do it and get it done and get it over with. Even for a teenage boy, like he plainly sees like, okay, you're stupid. This is what you need to do to fix it. And Dr. Evil's just like, no, we're okay. It'll be fine.
Yep, exactly. Like he knows how to be evil, and Dr. Evil's like, no, I've been evil for 30 years. Right. I know what evil's like, but he's just all wrong at it. It's so good.
Which is what makes their like parent-child dynamic funny, because Scott is more of the parent in the situation than Dr. Evil is.
Yes.
But at the same time, you still get that teenage angst from Scott, because like when he'll be like, Dr. Evil will tell him no, and he'll be like, oh, like come on, you get that teenage attitude. But he is definitely more of the parent in this situation.
Yes, he is. And then they do their therapy. They go to like father-son therapy and stuff, and Scott's like, I think he wants to try and kill me. I really do. And and then like, no, Scott, there's your father doesn't want to kill you. And then they go to Dr. Evil and he's like, actually he's pretty astute. I am trying to kill him. So it's just that kind of comedy, and it's so good. And nobody takes any extra breath about it or anything. He just goes into a speech after that about how he was raised evil, and he was raised in Belgium by this, I mean, he has this ridiculous story and everything.
Backstory, yeah.
And they're just listening to him now. Like, they don't care that, like, oh, he just admitted he's been trying to kill his kid this whole time. It's just,
Like,
so
whatever, it's every day.
yeah, it's just like his way of living up to the evil name. He's got to be Dr. Evil. And we do have like a love story that is in the middle of the movie that's kind of always in the background a little bit. I don't think it's really front and forward. I think that is the Austin Dr. Evil kind of diabolical back and forth that keeps going. But the love story was there. As thinking back as a teenager watching this movie, I was super happy that it wasn't the main thing of the movie, because that can kind of kill a comedy if they lean too hard into that. Yeah. And I think this movie did a really good job of like keeping that balance of like the back and forth between Dr. Evil and what Austin's doing and how they're trying to thwart each other, and then fitting in this like little bit of a love story that's happening in the middle while Austin's learning, what women are like now 30 years later, because they're not, sexy stewardess anymore, baby, that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of curious what your thoughts are on that. Like, did you like kind of the overall balance of everything, or would you want more of one thing or less of another?
No, I thought the balance was done really well. I am not a like lovey drama love story movie type of person. Occasionally I'll watch something like that, but mostly I would rather watch something that like is funny or action, or like one of my favorite movies is John Wick. So obviously,
right.
I'm not your typical normal girly girl, let's watch a bunch of romance movies. So it was nice that it had that in there for Austin, because you do want to see the character develop as a whole. And as people, we need those relationships. But yeah, I thought the balance was done very well. I wouldn't have added more romance to it. I thought it was perfect. Like, yeah, it was funny. It had action. It had a little bit of a love story. It was kind of a finding yourself movie as well, because, Austin found out who he really was 30 years later.
Yeah. Well, and with the whole love story thing, you do go through there's a bit of a love triangle situation that happens with a character that has a fantastic name. A lot of vagina is her name. So we all know what's talking about there. And another one of them, kind of punny sort of situations. It's really great. And she's number two's like girlfriend, and like Austin has to kind of get his like information from her. He's got to somehow infiltrate. So he goes in, pretending to be somebody else, and she like gets in a hot tub with him, and then one thing leads to another, and she finds that spot, you know what I mean, like gets his leg going, that kind of thing, which is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, he like farts in the hot tub, so I mean it's not like this real sexy thing. Right, I mean he's just, they're drinking sake, and he's like, I feel so relaxed, and then he farts in the hot tub, and she's like, oh my God, how dare you? And then, next thing you know, they're like having sex or whatever. But he got the information he needed. He got all the photos and everything. So he's good to go. Well, then Vanessa finds out about it. And then you get that kind of triangle deal. Like, she was interested in him, but didn't really make it seem like she was. And it just kind of confused Austin in a way. But he then understood because he was interested in her too. Then you kind of get that little bit. Yeah. And that was kind of how they summed it up. I mean, it was just kind of that little bit of, oh, you know what, that it happened. It's kind of over with now. And now we're going to move on to the next, situation. And I think that made it kind of nice that it was part of it. It was still had a lot of comedy in it when they did it, but it ended up being kind of a heartfelt situation when they do have a conversation with each other, talking about how they feel and how women are now. And then she kind of teaches them everything that you can't do that. And then that's kind of when it goes into his binging scene where he's binging the last 30 years. Oh my God, that kind of stuff. Yeah. He's thinking like, oh, we can just have sex with whoever we want, and you only need to use protection if you're a sailor, baby, that kind of stuff. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. So there are so many funny parts in this movie. I already mentioned my favorite funny part. Are you agreeing with that one? Yes. Or do you have a different fun? Yes. Okay. Yeah, that part is hysterical. I love the shushing part with Dr. Evil. If I have to pick my favorite Dr. Evil part, that part's great. Scott keeps trying to talk, and John, Dr. Evil keeps shushing him. He's like, I gotta go, a whole bag of over here with your name on it, boy. That kind of stuff. That's really good stuff. There's really good banter back and forth. It really felt like the whole cast had really good chemistry as well. I think that's what makes a lot of these movies work, is when you can tell that they are always just having fun. Even if they're doing their job, they're still having a good time.
And quite a few of them worked together on SNL, I believe, because obviously Will Ferrell was in the movie.
Will Ferrell,
he was on SNL with Mike Myers. Seth Green, I believe, was on SNL for a short stint. I could be wrong, but
I don't think he was. He might have been a writer or something like that.
Okay,
I haven't looked his history up or anything like that, but he does do a lot more writing with Robot Chicken and things like that than he does
Family Guy.
The other side of it. But Family Guy, yeah. There were a lot of comedic actors in it, that's for sure. I do remember seeing I don't remember his name because I'm terrible at it, but he was on Mad TV, and he was the guy who did Stewart. He was the guy who gets run over by the machine,
I don't know his name either.
I can't remember his name. But he's one super small part in it. But you could tell that there was like some camaraderie going on with this movie, where they just got a lot of buddies together and just had fun with it. And then I think the last thing I want to talk about, because obviously this movie is really fun, I think anybody should watch it. So we do a what if scenario on here, and my what if is, what if Austin Powers released to Friday? What if it released today? How would the world take this movie? Like,
it would get banned in the movie theater and not be released.
It does feel like that. It really, really does. Yeah. It would be like, it would all be taken the wrong way, is the way I look at it. Which kind of goes to show, this movie was made in 1997. So, we're talking, 24 years later, and it goes to show, and in Austin's view, 30 years went by, a lot has changed. Well, 24 years since this movie came out has gone by, and a lot has changed. Yeah. So if this movie came out today, I think a lot of it would be taken the wrong way, which is a sad fact, honestly. Yes. If I'm being completely honest, I love movies that are just super satire, super tongue in cheek, just making fun of everything. I mean, one of the newer satire movies that is literally making fun of all of us right now is Don't Look Up on Netflix. And I watched that movie, and all it is doing is saying how dumb we are as humans. Like, we just don't listen to the right people. And that movie's getting nominated for Oscars. You know what I mean? So why can't we have the funny ones that are like, because Don't Look Up is actually pretty funny when you watch it and you think about it. Like, it's just a lot of facepalm moments watching it. You're like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. Listen to these people, that kind of stuff. This is going to happen one day, and so on and so forth. This movie couldn't happen. I mean, Austin Powers isn't going to happen in real life. Nobody's going to cryogenically freeze some sexy super spy and send him to send his nemesis into space in a cryogenic deal, and then they come back 30 years later and have some kind of battle. It's just not going to happen. I love these movies. I want more of them, and it doesn't have to be Austin Powers, but just this kind of style or genre. I mean, it kind of feel like it's a genre of its own, where it's just a satire comedy that it doesn't take itself seriously, And I wish I could sum it down into a better name, but I feel like it'd be wrecked. I don't think it would make 6 times its money. No. I feel like it'd have a hard time making all of its money back. And then I feel like it would find a cult audience after it hit DVD or something, or Blu-ray.
Oh yeah, probably. And after they got sued a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. Something they had to edit something, because of this or whatever the case was. Which is a bummer. I think that is what would happen, though. I do. Like, if I really had to be honest and true and upfront about it, it would be like, damn it, like, this is so good, why don't more people watch it? Or so I think that's a big reason why I wanted to bring it on the movie reel, because watch these movies. They're not meant to be taken seriously. There's nothing in them that was meant to be offensive. It was all meant to be super satire of, a British spy, James Bond. Okay, come on. This is making fun of James Bond. This is a satire of James Bond. That's exactly what this movie is. Yep. And we should all be able to do that. We should all be able to sit back, look at our lives, laugh about it, move on, and have a good time, instead of serious all the time. I mean, all of us go watch Marvel movies to escape the real life too, right? These movies allow me to do the same thing. Like I can watch these, laugh, forget about all the worries of the world, and just kind of move on, to the next thing that happens. But I can always revisit these and do the same thing again.
Yep.
Because it's been years since we've watched Austin Powers.
Yeah, it has. It's been a long time.
And I had forgotten stuff, so which is really good. Like I'm like, okay, I got like a miniature Men in Black memory wipe, and I'm enjoying the movie again of stuff I forgot about, which is great. So I am I'm excited to do more of these. We're gonna come back and do we got The Spy Who Shagged Me, which is the second one. Which is also a pun and a satire on The Spy Who Loved Me, a James Bond movie. And then Goldmember, is the third one, which is also another satire. And,
Yep. Goldeneye.
Yeah, Goldeneye, and we the Golden Guns and the Golden Girls, it's Goldmember. Like, I mean, come on, man. It's a fantastic name. So we're definitely going to do this. We got 2 more to do, and we're going to do these all in a row. So come back every other week, and we're going to do the trilogy of Austin Powers, and maybe you want to sit down and listen to all 3 of them at the same time. That'd be cool too. We'll keep them short and sweet and fun. These are just good movies, talk about our favorite scenes and overall thoughts on the movie. But Heather, what are your final thoughts on Austin Powers to tell everybody out there?
Go watch it.
Sweet, simple.
It's funny. You need a little escape, just go watch the movie. You love puns and satire, it's right up your alley. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's absolutely hysterical. Very quotable. If you have not seen it, go watch it. We did not talk about hardly any of the parts that, there's so many funny parts. We could do a huge episode and just go one line by line.
Yeah, there's no way you could fit it all in one movie reel.
No, absolutely not.
You just have to watch the movie because it's literally from start to end.
Yeah, it is just one other joke after another that's poking fun at something. I mean, like I said, they have a frozen Vanilla Ice and Gary Coleman in with him in the celebrity wing of a cryogenic chamber. Come on,
chamber. Really,
that's good stuff. That is good stuff. And that's just the beginning of the movie. So, and it just continues to get funnier and funnier with all the little tropes and gags and little things they do throughout it. I love these movies. They're definitely in my top 10. I just have to lump them together. I won't pick one over the other. I love all of them. They do have a good movie story that you kind of watch as they go. They do kind of connect in a way, which is just fun to see. So we're going to be back on the next episode, and we're going to talk about The Spy Who Shagged Me and find out who that spy is. I don't know. We'll find out when we talk about it. But final thoughts for this one for me, I've already said, but I'm giving it a big thumbs up. That's a definitely a loud thumbs up. And as of right now, that's what we've been watching. We haven't really been watching too much. We've been watching Ozark. We're almost caught up on that. So that's a fun one. If you guys want something that's more serious, definitely opposite of Austin Powers, check that one out on Netflix exclusively. That's a good show to watch. And I think we're going to finish up Love is Blind, right? We have our that's our like one garbage trash TV vice, I think.
Yeah. The one train wreck of a show that we watch.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a lot of head shaking and face palming and
my gosh.
WTFing, it's like, okay, hope these people find love, but man, oh man, what a way to try and find love. Oh my God.
What a way to do it.
All right. Well, thanks to my lovely wife, Heather, again for joining me on the movie reel.
Anytime.
And you'll see her back again in a couple more. Yeah. So we're just going to keep this going. And until next time, my name is Nick. Stay loud.